Hey everybody, Scribbler Johnny checking in before we continue Shreckland. What we have going on now is a new chapter and a new point of view narrator. This chapter is Make Love Craft Again, and our narrator for this chapter is Andy Fairbanks. And this chapter deals with Andy's evolving relationship with Zach Lovecraft and Stacie McCammon. And excuse me, I just wanted to also say that Zach Lovecraft is a very important character to me, and his journey and how his relationship with Andy and Stacie evolves is very special and important. And he goes through some tumultuous changes as he transitions and leaves behind his former identity of Rebecca. And Zach has some struggles with his identity and his place as a trans man. And I did this based on research that I have seen that struggles other trans men went through. And I just really want to be sure that if I do make mistakes, it is from a place of good intent and love to my trans friends, all of you. And I mean no harm. That said, we will continue Shreckland. Make love craft again. I held Stacie in my arms until she stopped sobbing and clutching me. Made me feel gallant and manly. You reminded me not to catch feelings, right? I said with a smile. She kissed my lips and slipped me some tongue, too. My hands cupped her boobs of their own accord, like long-missed friends. I guess they were. She held my hands in place, and then broke the kiss. Too late. I'm your friend forever. Can't quit now. But I respect what you and Zach have. Stacie pulled my hands away, but continued to hold them. Is it okay that I really like you, though? She asked. I like you, Stacie. You're great, but you can't kiss me anymore. Zach likes monogamy. She frowned. Seems like you're wanting to be more poly rather than mono, she said. Yeah, but I really like Zach, and he says the only pussy I can get is his, I replied. Are you sure you don't want to come with us to Shreckland? I offered. She seemed wistful. It would be cool if I could go with you, but I wouldn't be with you. You'd be together, and I'd also be there. Not the same, she said. Okay, I said. We're both still your friends, Kay? We care about you. Don't work too hard. I got up and pulled away from her. Her hands lingered. I could tell she had been lonely for much of the term, but new relationships are tyrannical with your attention. I won't apologize just to do so. I left her there and joined Zach in the hall. She's not coming, I explained. I bet she wanted to, but couldn't get past the fact that we're together, he replied. We walked out of the dorm and didn't speak again until we were almost at Terry's Teriyaki, a rice bowl restaurant. It's not so simple as her not liking us together. She likes that we're happy. She feels left out. Well, we invited her, he retorted. If that's not including her, what is? I gestured for him to keep his voice down. She kinda wants to be able to share me with you. Well, love doesn't work that way. Maybe for her it does. And what about you? I knew it was coming. I couldn't avoid it. Honesty is the best policy. I love you, Zack. I like Stacie. I'd like to see if she and I could have a real relationship too, but you're number one. I want you. His face colored. So I look like a jerk for being normal and just wanting you and me, he said. It's not like that. I don't want this to be a fight. I want you. I love you. I don't love Stacie. We ordered and sat down, each of us getting teriyaki beef bowls. Where does it end? He asked. I let her have you. Anyone else can too? Don't talk like that. You don't own me. I didn't mean that. I think you did, I said. You're acting possessive. He ate in silence for a while. I set down my chopsticks. Zack, listen. I know you want to be normal, but nobody's normal. Normal is a lie created by boring people to make interesting people feel bad for being different, I said. He looked at me. What I think you mean, I said, is that you want to have stability and security. A traditional relationship makes you feel more secure. Is that right? He finished his bowl with his plastic fork, and I was nearly finished with my chopsticks when he said, You're right. I want to know that I won't lose you. All my romance novels are monogamous, or a love triangle with a destined pairing, and that's all I really know about love. I nodded at this. There's nothing wrong with monogamy, just don't act like it's more moral or the default or something. Monogamy is what you're used to, that's all, I said. He nodded. I don't want to share you. Is that wrong? No, not at all. Just don't think that I'm your property and don't get all self-righteous. I finished and dumped our trays. Zack carried our drinks and followed me. So, he said as we left, are you going to ask my permission before you fuck Stacie? I don't intend to fuck her. Not unless you say it's okay without me asking. I want what you want. He handed me my drink. I won't say things will never change. For now, let's keep it just you and me. And he took my hand. That's fine with me, I replied. I was able to coast the rest of the week and had leg day at the gym on Saturday. I loved the free gym on campus. Zack even joined me. He hated going into the women's locker room, but he didn't complain to anybody about it but me. He did, however, make a point to kiss me before we split to shower and change. A douchebag congratulated me for bagging a she-he. I gave him the bird, and I told him to shut up about my man. It still felt weird for me to say it, I'll admit. Another guy said, Excuse me, but I heard you say your man? Yeah, he still has those lady parts though, all right. No big deal. He looked at me blankly and then said, Yeah, no big deal. None of my business. I agreed. That's right. I rejoined Zack in the lobby. He said Stacie's on her way out. Really? He nodded. Heavy metal dude cycle class, he said. So, stationary bikes and metal? Yep. Did she get any phone numbers? Not that she mentioned, but I also didn't ask. I'll text her about it later. Want to just wait here for her? I shrugged. Play it cool, Andy. Yeah, you want to wait. Busted. I grinned. She's our friend. Stacie came out wearing sunglasses. What's up, Frehoni? She asked. Frehoni? I asked. It's from some fantasy stories. It means very good friends, like family. Zack explained it to me. Stacie smiled, and she lowered her shades to look me in the eye. It has special connotations, too, considering how close we all are. I thought it apropos. We rode back to the dorm in Stacie's SUV, stowing our bikes in the back. Zack told me to sit up front, so I did. We listened to the clash, and I sang along and rocked the Casbah. Zack and I stowed our bikes at the bike rack while Stacie found a parking spot, and we gathered in their dorm room. So, Stacie, Zack began, we've been talking about our relationship. Stacie nodded and looked away. You and me, we're good friends. That's not changing. Andy is comfortable having a romantic relationship with both of us because, of course, he is. Two hot tamales like us. But I'm not comfortable sharing him, even with you. I trust you both. I'm not saying I'll never change my mind. I know better than to pigeonhole us, especially since I'm in a state of flux myself. He waited, giving Stacie the opportunity to speak up. Stacie just silently reached for Zack's hand. He let her take it. And then he continued. I don't own or control Andy. He can do what he wants. But we've established that he won't do anything more than friend stuff with you until I say it's okay. Stacie looked at her lap. I thought I was the oldest person in our little triad. I doubt you meant to, but I'm feeling pretty small right now. Like a child, she said. Zack gave her hand a squeeze. Listen, I'm not going to be watching you like a chaperone or something. You're not a bad person. That threesome we had was a rare bonding experience. He looked at me for help, and so I held Stacie's other hand. We're good friends. We both care about you. A lot. And then I looked at Zack and I pursed my lips. He gave a nod, and I gave Stacie a kiss on the cheek. Full-lipped, not just a peck. And I rubbed my cheek against hers. She let out a sigh. Okay, you kids have fun at Shreckland and take lots of pictures, okay? She said with a smile. I guessed she just needed some time. Hey, what about Carl? I asked suddenly. I'm not Carl's type, she said. What, your weight? I asked. She laughed then. No, my vagina. Carl's gay. I was surprised. But he likes guns and all that survivalist stuff, I said. She let go of us and ran her fingers through her hair. Goes to show you never can tell. C'est la vie, said the old folks. And then she did an impromptu Watusi worthy of John Travolta while still sitting. Zack stared at her like she was crazy. Stacie put on a poker face. Vincent Vega? Pulp Fiction? Tarantino? She asked, still totally deadpan. Yeah, Tarantino. No, everything else, Zack replied. Clear your schedule, baby cakes. We got movie night, Stacie announced, and she began searching her massive folder of DVDs. Tonight we watch Pulp Fiction. And then I announced, trigger warning, male rape, syringe to heart, and drug overdose. Also, Christopher Walken talks about shoving a pocket watch up his ass in Vietnam. Zack snorted. I promise it's relevant to the plot, I added. Stacie held up the DVD in triumph. Everything Andy said was true. He's wise and sexy. Zack ended up liking the movie. We were still wired when Pulp Fiction was over, so Stacie put on Hausu, a truly bizarre Japanese horror comedy. There is a scene where the movie basically became an episode of The Monkees. Don't ask me how I know about the Monkees. Blame The Simpsons, okay? Anyway, we had to stifle our giggles because it was late. The hour grew later still, and we laughed more than the movie actually deserved, as far as I'm concerned. Stacie pulled out a bag of jumbo-sized Doritos and proffered it. It was a good time for snacks. And then it was curfew and I had to leave, so I gave Zack a kiss goodnight and hugged Stacie. Hugbees, she said as she hugged me. Hugbees? I asked. This episode is dedicated to Angela Hugbees because we really like saying Hugbees, she said in an announcer voice. Zack said, still don't get it. She sighed. A hilarious cartoon called Freakazoid. It was the 90s and it lasted for 2 seasons. So you're allowed to not recognize it. The only reason I do is because I used to live on the internet and a friend introduced me. I nodded at this and left. Back in my dorm room, which is a 3-man room that I shared with Ruben and Tyrone, both of them phys ed majors like me and sophomores. There was no tie or towel on the doorknob, so in I went. The door opened, and Ty was watching a Shreckland ad on his laptop. Where's Ruben? I asked as I set my stuff down. All-you-can-eat tostada challenge at Martina's, he replied. Are you taking your boyfriend to see Shreckland still? He asked. Yep, we're gonna stick to the safe zones. Fuck that danger zone shit, I replied. He said that should be cool, and he was watching a video where someone was reviewing an old video game called Illbleed. I pulled my office chair from my desk over to his and I watched. Man, those graphics are downright primitive, I observed. Yeah, their mouths don't even move when they talk. It's weird, too. Seemed folks were talking about it more and more, and there were rumors that Sega might release a remastered version with improvements throughout. I could get behind that. The game was clearly flawed, but had some slasher movie charm that I enjoyed. I decided to look up more about the game and found a Let's Play video, see what was what. I plugged my headphones into my laptop, and I found a guy live streaming it. Well, why not? Before the video began, there was an ad that played. Impeach Julia Shreck. Why? Not because she degrades all of America, not because she's unstable, because she's a criminal. Shreck knowingly had her company construct Shreckland in a partnership with Carpenter Craven, who also donated to her ad campaign. Violating a conflict of interest policy. She also knowingly used substandard materials. Impeach her now before she breaks more laws. I shook my head. Everyone already knew Shreck was a crook. Try something else, guys. The player in the video had an odd accent. I couldn't quite place it, but then again, I'm no citizen of the world, so accents I don't recognize could not exactly be Final Jeopardy material. He kept blundering into traps, maybe for comedic purposes. I stopped the stream and searched for a completed playthrough. I found one by a guy who was mimicking Crashman's voice as he narrated it. Turns out the game was about a high school horror movie club. That was kind of funny. Then I learned there was a slasher-loving meathead named Randy. It stopped being so funny. There is a purple-haired female protagonist named Eriko. The only other female character had green hair. Kumiko had a green wig and a purple one. The similarities ended there, so I shrugged it off as coincidence. Still, for a moment, it creeped me out a bit. I really liked the music in the game. It had this menacing yet playful feel. I started to feel cold. The operator of the souvenir photo studio was a dead ringer for a Carpenter Craven perfect woman. I looked up some information on the Internet Movie Database. Ill Bleed was made long before the Perfect Women movie. Okay, I could relax again. It was just a game. Why was I so jumpy, though? Maybe my brain wanted to attach significance to things. Maybe I was looking for reasons to get scared, have an extra thrill. I couldn't decide. The game looked really fun, but the first boss battle was a real bastard of a challenge. I bet those Dark Souls players would complain about it being too hard. The player made it through, though, and I was elated. It was such a near thing. He used an item called Amazon to heal his character and cleared the level within the time limit. I silently pumped my fist in the air. I hadn't gotten that excited over someone else playing a game since I was a kid. And then my phone buzzed. Zack texted me, "Go to bed if you haven't already. We have a big day." I smiled. "Yes, Commissar," I replied. Zack sent a photo of him making a kissy face. I replied with a heart emoji. I checked the time. Okay, it was definitely sleepy time. I put in my earplugs and closed my laptop, then pulled a bandana over my eyes and groped into bed. When you live with college dudes, a blindfold and earplugs are your friends. I dreamed of having sex with a perfect woman. She put a gun to my head, and then I woke up gasping. I never even saw that movie. What the hell? After a while, I fell back to sleep with no other dreams. Zack met me at the BART station the next day. We kissed hello, and a woman wearing a flannel shirt applauded. I smiled, but I was still embarrassed. I was getting used to the idea that not everyone knew that Zack was pre-operation. He passed for male better than I would have guessed. I mean, I'm not gay, but I am dating a guy. I didn't want to go around saying, "Hey, I like women. He still has a vagina. It's fine." That would just be weird, and it would insult him, and it would make me feel like a phony. So I just rolled with it. We boarded our train, holding hands, and we found some seats, but they were not adjacent to each other. So Zack nodded at me and popped in his earbuds. I did too. He texted me, "So excited, boo." I texted a smiley, and I began listening to A Tribe Called Red. Yeah, I listen to Native American hip hop. Say whatever you want, I like what I like. I'm not trying to make any kind of statements. After debarking, disembarking, exiting the train, we nabbed a lift to Shreckland. There was a billboard about a mile away from the park showcasing a group of diverse adults shrieking in laughter or terror as a zombie lumberman menaced them with a chainsaw. The letters that spelled Shreckland were the darkest purple I'd ever seen, and outlined in yellow. If the light hadn't gleamed just so, I might have thought they were black. "You fellas gonna do a danger run?" the driver, Samantha, asked. "Not on your life, bub," I laughed. "Yeah, it's a date," Zack said. "Oh, well, here we are. You have fun." I gave Samantha 5 stars in the rating survey that popped up on my Lyft app. We waved goodbye. The turnstiles were designed to look like they had been made of barbed wire, painted an awful, eye-harming shade of orange. The ticket booths were operated by teens made up to look like zombies and ghosts. The boredom on their faces made it hard to tell if they were playing the part or if they were just bored teens. Ours was dressed like an old-timey lady from the 1920s or so. Zack paid for his ticket and I for mine. After passing through the rounded point barbed wire turnstile, we saw the gift shop, crewed by crash dummies, restrooms labeled guy goyles and girl goyles, also the souvenir photo studio. "Odd to see that right by the entrance, isn't it?" I asked. Zack thought for a moment and said, One last photo before going to the danger zones, just in case. Maybe he was right. Let's get one before tired and sweaty, he suggested. Sure, while we still look good, I answered. I put my arm around his shoulders and headed to the line outside the photo studio. Thoughtfully, there were several severed heads, stools, placed by the entrance for people waiting in line, big enough that Zack and me shared one. There was an info board with a perfect woman pointing to the info. Props and costumed photos cost $3 extra, I observed. The prices were downright cheap. Cheaper than a photo kiosk at the mall. Another notice read, "Do not be alarmed. Our camera only looks like a gun. We wouldn't lie to you. The management." We heard bangs followed by screams and laughter. It was soon our turn. The photographer was a perfect woman. "Hi," I said. She only pointed toward the prop buckets in the costume changing rooms. "No thanks. Just one photo for us, please," I requested. It was unnerving, talking into that black lack of a face. She pointed again. A backdrop showed the park skyline. She pulled down another, the lumber mill from Chop Chop Buzz. I shook my head at that. A tropical scene with three identical perfect women in bikinis holding submachine guns. I shook my head again. Zombie Taft, standing atop the White House, was next. No. A haunted house from Carpenter Craven's first movie, Bad Dream Tutor. "That one," Zack said. I smiled. "Yeah, we'll do this one." The photographer went over to the counter and picked up the camera. It looked like a big old dirty, hairy hand cannon. She showed us the viewfinder screen. Sure enough, the camera was a cannon. She gestured for us to move close together and take our pose. I put my arm around Zack's waist, his slender, feminine waist, and I smiled. Zack pulled me into a kiss right before the bang. I jumped. It was loud. The picture, though, was perfect. We looked just like two men in love, full of youth. Looking back, I wish I still had that photo. I paid and thanked the photographer, but she just waved. Her movements were a bit slow, and it felt uneasy to watch. And I felt a foreboding again. I stuffed the photo carefully into my backpack. "Where next?" I asked. "Let's go to the Midway, check out the games." "You're the boss, bro." I let him lead me toward the map. A woman said, "Ew, gross," as we passed, and I paused. She surely meant us holding hands, so I said, "Hey, I understand. You've never seen a man as handsome as my boyfriend before, and you just don't know how to respond." I smiled and hurried on. I heard her splutter in a confused attempt to say more. But then we were at the Midway. There was no Midway. "No carnival games? I thought that would be a perfect fit. Park merch and such," I said. But there was an arcade. I bet Will and Carl will be glad to know that, so I snapped a photo of the arcade on the map, and I tweeted it out. There was a stage show in 20 minutes, according to an event schedule beside the map. Also, a wait estimate for different attractions. All of the danger zones had no waiting. Bad Dream Tutor in the safe zone had a 2-minute line. Let's hit Bad Dream Tutor and then the stage show. I hear that they've got Morella. Morella? Yeah, she's a horror hostess, like Elvira, but she's more like a female Svengoolie. There is only one Elvira, and she's at Not Scary Farm, he replied. Real talk, though, Elvira really takes care of herself. If she invited me to bed, I wouldn't hesitate, I said. And then I paused, and Zack laughed. I don't blame you, Andy. Elvira is super nice and sexy, too. Super nice, I agreed. When we walked to Bad Dream Tutor, the sun was warm, the wind was cool. It was, in a word, perfect. A performer, dressed as Zombie Taft, made a playful grab at us. I jumped back and let out a girlish squeal. "Oh no, Mr. President," I said in a squeaky voice. And then Taft moved on, swiping at an Asian woman and her gal pals, who screamed and laughed. "I wonder how hot that suit gets," Zack asked. "Probably bad enough to warrant an internal cooling system," I replied. "Don't envy him come July," I added. We found the line before long, and we could hear screams, and we also saw that there were screens showing the trailer for the movie with the sound off. As we moved closer in line, I saw curtained windows and a mock-up of the front porch of the Tudor-style house from the movie. A curtain swished as if an unseen person had moved it to look and see who was coming. The movie Bad Dream Tutor was rated PG, pretty tame by today's standards, but it was spooky. It was not really an original script, but what can you really do with haunted houses that hasn't already been done? Especially back in 1984 when the movie began filming. Still, a non-comedic Beetlejuice alike is entertaining. This attraction was an on-rails experience, literally. We climbed into a car and pulled the lap bar down. "Old school," I observed. Zack nodded. The car ahead of us bumped through the double doors, and that familiar electronic score began playing. Then it was our turn. I took Zack's hand. Scenes from the movie unfolded before us. Chairs knocked over by the original occupants to scare the new family. But we couldn't see the ghosts, except in mirrors, like in the movie. We heard the disembodied voice of Mrs. Ruth order us to get out of her home. It didn't scare me, but it was fun. The last scene was the grand table decked out for dinner before the huge mirror, so that we could see both families, now all ghosts, sitting down for a pleasant meal. "We'll just make the most of it," Mrs. Ruth said in her cultured Yankee accent. Zack whooped, and we were helped out by a middle-aged woman wearing a purple polo shirt. "Thanks," I said. "No problem, sweetie," she said, and then we took a tram to the pavilion. The tram played ads on its TV monitors. I dubbed it the Spam Tram. Zack thought that was hilarious. His laughter drew some glances, but no one said anything that I could hear over a Viagra commercial about a cowboy. "Man, I hope you never need that junk," Zack said. "Yeah, me too," I replied. Morella was fun and kinda cute, but she didn't have the same showmanship of Elvira. Poor lady, always getting called the poor man's Elvira. The Digimon to her Pokemon. Yeah, I went there. Digimon sucks. Come at me, bro. Still, it was a fun show. We went on some more traditional theme park rides, a ghost train, a roller coaster with Crash Man painted on it, and a Ferris wheel. Then we went to the zombie draft attraction. This one was a walker. We were in a group of 8. There we were at the cemetery. Fog, a chill wind, dim light. The deranged gravedigger caretaker Grimsby came running at us with his shovel in hand. "Get out of here, you kids! Let the dead alone!" A woman let out a small scream. We moved away from the performer and saw a hand burst out of the ground before a grave marked for Robert Howard Taft, former U.S. President. I jumped at that, and we walked through a short anteroom designed to look all foresty. More fog, more wind. And then we were in a cabin. Some friends were playing strip cribbage when Zombie Taft came bursting through the door. The brave JROTC cadet tried beating Taft back with a bat, but the fat walrus in chief was unharmed. Taft choked him. "You salute your president, son," Taft said. We continued on. Zombie performers started to come after us to drag us before the zombie master for recruitment, presumably, but we evaded them. Next, we were in the Oval Office, where a Bill Clinton look-alike sat talking on the phone. Zombies broke through the windows behind him and hung up the phone. Taft strolled in. "You've been impeached, my boy," he bellowed and strangled Slick Willie. We were now being chased by zombies and Taft. We ran through a hole, and then there was a traffic collision. Cars blaring, smoke, sounds of gunshots, screams, and the blades of a helicopter. Something stung my eyes in the air. "This way! Hurry!" a woman shouted. It must have been Captain Jackson, the heroic MP officer from the movie. "Come on, fool, quick!" We ran toward the soldier. She and other soldiers provided covering fire. "Evacuate at the Washington Monument," Captain Jackson ordered. Some of our group got grabbed. I screamed at that, I admit, but then I also wondered if they were park employees. Zack tried to pull a woman away but more came and pulled her into the fog. I was able to save Zack from joining her, but just barely. The air suddenly felt stifling and humid, and we were forced to crawl under a collapsed obelisk. "Climb up!" a voice shouted. I pushed Zack toward a ladder, supposedly the evac chopper. "Be right behind me, Andy!" Zack screamed. He was really into it, wasn't he? I said, "Just climb!" And then a zombie African-American soldier and zombie Clinton grabbed me. "You're gonna meet the new president, son," Clinton said in his Arkansas drawl. I allowed them to lead me away, and my phone screamed. I was taken to an exit that had a sign reading, "Zombie Bait." I stepped outside, the sunlight painful to my eyes. I covered my phone's screen as I checked the alert. "Zombie Bait sticker now available on your Twitter and Facebook accounts. Click here for more info." I smiled as I looked around for Zack. He hugged me. "Al Gore was on the chopper. Not an actor." He showed me a selfie. Al Gore smiled back at me. So Zack got a treat too. I showed him my zombie bait message. Zack's phone cheered. He got a survivor sticker. "So cool, I'm activating it," he said. We walked over to a shade tree and both activated our stickers. "Zombie Clinton got me," I tweeted. Zack tweeted his selfie with Al Gore. "This guy made it to the end and met a VP." We were ready to go back. I bought a Shreckland cap for Zack. He insisted on getting a matching cap for me. I don't like hats, but I did it for him. As far as licensed merch goes, the hats were cheap. I signaled a lift and we exited the park after a stop at the Guy Goyle's restroom. I put an arm around Zack as we rode back to the BART station. "What a day, right, Boo?" Zack asked. "Yeah, some kinda good day." On the train, Zack sat on my lap. He gave me a stiffy, but Mr. Fairbanks quieted down eventually. Yes, that's what I call my penis. I walked Zack to the dorm, and Stacie wasn't there, so Zack tied a sock around the outside doorknob and locked the door. "Throw me on the bed and make me your woman," he said, yanking off his hat and his shirt. "What?" I asked. "Force me to be a woman for you, you stud." "Whoa, this is a thing?" "Yeah, call me Rebecca and tell me to take it like a slut." He pulled my cap off. This feels unhealthy. For you, it might be play, but to me, it feels like abuse. I gently pushed him away. Come on, we had a good day. Make it even better. Make love to me, he urged, squeezing his nipples. Zack, be yourself. This gender play or whatever it is creeping me out. Be a man, be a woman, be what you want. I don't want to force anything. My old man beat my mom and me, and I don't do force. He frowned. Please? He asked. Call me Rebecca and push me onto the bed and make me your girl? No pushing, no forced changes. But I don't have a dick yet, so it makes me feel good if I still have a pussy because it's what you want. Well, I don't like dick. I only like vaginas, and you know that already. He reached past the waistband of my jeans to grab my penis. I like your dick, he said, giving it a squeeze. I gave him a kiss, and then we made love. No rough stuff, no calling names. And I decided I had to do some homework on female to male transgender views. Yeah, I already should have before that. I make no excuses. And that night in my dorm, I learned that gender play and forced feminization were real things that really existed. It still made me feel weird and uncomfortable. And I chatted with Stacie about it a bit. She told me to just keep communicating openly and honestly, and things should go more smoothly than they would if I kept my thoughts to myself. I thanked her, and she sent me a kissy face selfie. No problem, zombie bait, she replied. And later on, she took a selfie with Zack, who had been wearing his Shreckland hat at the time, and both of them were smiling in that photo. So that's good. I put our souvenir photo on my desk, propped up by my teacup. It's pewter, and it's kind of my treasure. I used to pretend that it was Captain Cook's cup and that it would give me his courage. I had wanted to be an explorer as a boy, and then I learned more and found out what an ass Captain Cook was. Still, that cup means a lot to me. I sent my mom a message on Facebook. I told her, had fun at Shreckland. Zack seems to sometimes like being a girl. I'm still figuring that out, and I'm taking it one day at a time, and I always do my homework. Love you. I waited for a reply. Hi, Andy. Good to hear from you. Be safe and don't let anyone try to make you into someone you're not. Zack is a cutie. Love you too. I've got to go to work now. Hug. And I replied, hug. And then I watched Zombie 3. I dig that theme music. It's a snappy dance club kind of beat. And without planning on it, I fell asleep watching the movie. And if life were a movie, I would have a cool dream about what was going on. But I just slept. President Shreck had some controversy for putting her grossly unqualified friends in her cabinet. Somehow, no one in the government or the political pundits really cared. She tweeted a photo of herself in a bikini at her resort in Florida. Sorry, haters, I can't hear you over my success, read the caption. Stacie shared the tweet. Gag. Trainwreck Shrek was going to run this country to the ground if she didn't get impeached. I was especially scared to see how she would deal with other world leaders. I could see her talking to Angela Merkel saying, oh, that's an interesting point, but I have bigger tits, so we're doing it my way. Can you imagine a bigger tits foreign policy? You just did. Ha! And then Zack texted me, Boo, I have a confession. My family isn't really from Ohio. I came from Innsmouth. Okay. The name meant nothing to me. As in the shadow over Innsmouth? He replied. I Googled it. You don't know? Don't Google it, he said. Too late, bro. Fish monsters and incest. You don't have the Innsmouth look, I sent. He sent a laughing emoji. Yeah, well, don't believe everything you read, boo. I just didn't want any gross assumptions about my family because of the name and where we come from. So, no fish monsters in your family tree? Nope. Just a bunch of Quakers and some Presbyterians on my mom's side. Okay, good. I'm not a Lovecraft scholar, so don't worry. Cthulhu Fatagan. Huh? Just texting you. I smiled, and then I suddenly felt a doom. With as crazy as everything was going, what if there really was a reason to worry for? And there we have it for now. I um, understand that some uncomfortable things happen in this chapter, and I just want to make sure you know that I want to do good. Bye for now.